Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Business Growth and Entrepreneur Podcast. I am Bill, the company's expert, and in today's episode, we're going to talk about addressing common reasons that people don't start a business. Okay, maybe you have thought of starting a business. Maybe it's your ambition to have your own business one day, whether you buy it or whether you start it. But today we're going to talk about if you're going to start a business, what are the things that are preventing people from starting, and what can we do about it? Now, I'd like to start off with a success story, okay? I have several comments that I'm going to read today from some of my awesome viewers/listeners. And this first one is a success story from someone called Game Reaper. Now, Game Reaper says, I have a small 3D printer. And what I did during the lockdown is I started a Facebook page selling my 3D prints and designing custom parts and printing. Within 3 months, I had to buy a bigger printer, and then I kept saving all the money. And then a month ago, I bought a laser engraver. And now I can do 3D printing and laser engraving. I am nowhere near that point of doing this full time, but yet it's at least something extra in my pocket every month. I don't think you need to do something crazy big, yet just start doing something. And this is an excellent little anecdote here from Game Reaper. That's exactly the type of attitude and the type of business that works, because startups are small companies, and small companies are designed to solve small problems, okay? If you have a big problem, that's for a big company to solve. But if you're looking to start a business, the best way to think about it is, what's a small problem that you could solve? And it's something that people want. Okay, and this is an excellent example. So thank you very much to Game Changer, I'm a Game Changer, Game Reaper. That's awesome. Now, I had asked the question, what is the biggest factor that's preventing you from starting? And one of the responses I got was from Jay DeQuiria. And Jay says, my problem, where do I start, is I struggle with finding an idea to stick with. Now, that's an excellent point, Jay, and you are absolutely not alone. This is a very common reason that's preventing a lot of people from starting a company, where you can't find the idea. Now, listen, in the old days, before the events of 2020 and 2021, what I would recommend is to go to a coffee shop or a hangout place of your choosing and order a beverage of your choosing and bring along with you a pad of paper and a pen or a tablet or a device of your choosing, and just hang out and have a think about what you would enjoy doing. And think about what you can do, okay? Usually that's the starting point for figuring out an idea to base a business on, okay? It's going to be a combination of what you can do and what you'd love to do, okay? Now, the other great part of this is that you really don't need any money to start and validate an idea, okay? A lot of times what this looks like, it's as simple as getting onto social networking and broadcasting that you have some kind of offering. I do this. Either I have this product to sell or I have this service to provide. Is anyone interested? Okay. Now, this is not the beginnings of a fraud. It's not like you're going to be taking people's money and not delivering to them what you're saying you're doing. That's not what this is about. This is just to see what the interest is like. Okay. If you have no responses, that tells you something. And if you have an unbelievable amount of responses, that tells you something else. Okay. So this is a good, quick, and easy way of validating an idea that you might have. Okay. Now remember, a startup business, okay, you can do anything, and it ranges from extremely innovative startup companies, okay, where you're doing something that practically nobody has done before and no one is familiar with because it hasn't been invented yet. It ranges from that all the way to, I don't want to say mundane, but the well-known, well-established stuff that everybody knows what it is. Everybody knows that it's something that a lot of people need, right? It may not be the most original idea in the world, but it's easy to sell. Okay, so I mean, this explains why things like franchises are so popular. It's because you're not reinventing the wheel. You're not like inventing the next Facebook or Google. But what you are doing is you're providing something that everybody already knows what it is, and they already know that they want it, and they're looking for more of it. So it's just as easy as getting on social networking and broadcasting yourself to people that would likely need the thing that you are thinking of doing and seeing if you have that interest there. Okay, so this can actually be a pretty enjoyable process. It costs nothing but your time. And for that reason, I'd say there really is not any great excuses why, if this is something you want to do, you shouldn't do it, or you're being prevented from doing it. If you have time, in the sense you have a couple of hours every day to investigate this, then it's worth doing. And if your first idea doesn't work when you put it out there, try another one, and then another. And sooner or later, if you hit upon something that there's a big response to, then you have a much simpler problem, okay? The problem then is how to deliver upon the thing that you're proposing when you have a lot of people that are essentially putting their hand out and saying, here, I want to pay you, okay? That's a lot easier of a challenge than thinking up, oh man, how am I going to sell this idea? Okay, so special thanks to Jay DeQuira for sending that in. Okay, an idea should not be the thing that holds you back. Now, another response I got was from Mohammed Umar. Mohammed Umar says, excellent and sensible advice as always. I think time limitation and loads of research and necessary skill development alongside a job are the two main reasons delaying my day of launching my own business. Thank you very much for your precious advice. Okay, so this is another common sort of reason people give, and they, if I were to rephrase this, it would be saying, well, look, I want a day job, but that doesn't leave me with much time to pursue a startup business idea or an entrepreneurial venture. Okay, and once again, I would say that you don't need to do tons and tons of market research in the conventional sense. Everything I said about social networking and validating your idea that way is a great way to do this. And you really don't need that much time. I mean, if you have even an hour a day, if that would really be enough to do this kind of thing in the beginning when you're validating an idea. And skills necessary. Well, I'm sure that Mohammed, and I'm sure that a lot of you guys, the listeners, you have lots of skills already. You don't need to learn an entirely new thing necessarily to start a business. The only thing you would need to learn is business itself. But people have lots of skills. And quite frankly, there's a lot of things in this world that you can do that provide value, that are things that someone would like to pay for, that doesn't require tons of skills, to be honest. Look at the construction industry. There's probably the clearest example of how someone with just the ability to do manual labor can go into business for themselves and make a lot of money. You know what I mean? And that's with no real skills at all other than the ability to do work, to dig holes and to, build things. Right? So, I mean, that's the clearest example of that. So having time on your hands and being able to do lots of research and learning new skills is not absolutely necessary to validate an idea and at least get yourself to the point where you're doing something on the side. Okay? If you do something on the side, that can turn into a full-time entrepreneurial venture if the demand is there. So that's definitely something to pursue. So thank you very much to Mohammed Umar for sending that in. That's a great example. And finally, I have a third response here I'd like to share with you guys. This is from Antonio Padilla. And Antonio says, for me, it surely is the fear of failure. I feel like if I stick to my studies and get a job, while it won't be so free, it'll be safe, quote unquote. I know this is a stupid way of thinking, but when I actually try to build a business and find myself getting less and less involved with my everyday work tasks, I feel like I'm going to fail in A, building the new business, and B, keeping my job. Well, Antonio, that's a great point, and thank you very much for sending that in, because you are definitely not alone in having this concern. Okay? It's a balancing act, and it's also a dilemma between getting and keeping a conventional job and doing a startup venture. Now, one thing that I would advice I give to a lot of new entrepreneurs and would-be entrepreneurs and startup founders is that, contrary to maybe what some other people say, I recommend that you don't take great personal risks to start a business. It is not honestly necessary. Okay, if you're going to do certain things, it may be necessary to take a very big personal and financial risk to do it. However, there are some other alternatives out there where, even though that can develop into a business just as big and just as profitable, it can be done in very easy, manageable stages where you can manage the risk. Okay. And for example, the thing I said earlier about validating an idea by simply getting on social media and broadcasting your idea and gauging the response, that's an example of that. That costs you essentially zero. It's just your time that you're giving up. The only thing you really risk is your time being wasted. And some people will argue that if you're learning and you're getting a lot of experience, the time isn't really wasted. It comes back to benefit you indirectly later on. Okay, so this is always a balancing act. And a lot of the times that people have this dilemma is because one of the factors is that they're always thinking of the cliched way that you would start a business, which is you go all in. You commit your life savings, you quit your job, you focus full time at it, you work 16 to 20 hour days, and you're just all in. And what I'm saying is that, I have seen with my own eyes many, many examples of people that have successfully started businesses that did not have to do that in the beginning. The only time when maybe they had to do that, in most cases not, but the ones who did, it came later when the business was validated, when it was bringing money in, and therefore it justified, say, quitting a day job or focusing full time on it. Okay, so that's what I would have to say to this. Okay, the option to start a business in a manageable way, in a doable way, that at the same time doesn't risk your entire life savings and your financial future, it is certainly possible to do, and it's out there just waiting for you. You just have to understand what are the types of things you could do, okay? I mean, the thing that I kind of do sort of is, it's gradually becoming my main line, which is having a YouTube channel. It's becoming my main line because I like it so much. I mean, that's probably a great example of something that costs no money to start, and you can replace your income with it potentially. You know what I mean? You don't have to pay $150,000 to start that business or to validate it, right? There are many similar things like that. So that's where I'd like to leave this. So thank you very much to Antonio Padilla for sending in his response. And thank you for everybody listening. You guys are awesome. I wish you nothing but the best. And I hope to see you on future episodes of Business Growth and Entrepreneur Podcast. Thank you and take care.